Hi lovelies, my name is Rafiat and you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this video I'm going to be showing how I make egusi soup that everyone loves, and I'm going to be dropping secrets. Yes, I'm going to be dropping secrets along the way on how to achieve a lovely pot of egusi soup. So please keep watching. So these are the ingredients we'll be needing for this soup, and they are basic ingredients that you can find virtually everywhere, and I'm going to put more details regarding the ingredients in the box below, so don't worry about it. So of course we need meat, and I'm using beef, I'm using muzzle, I'm using tripe, and I'm using pomo. Then I have some stockfish. My stockfish has already been pre-soaked in hot water. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add the beef to the pot, the meat to the pot. Then I'm going in with some onions, some seasoning powder, and some salt. For egusi soup, you don't need a lot of spices like all the thyme, curry, and all that. You don't need any of those. So you're keeping it simple when you're making your egusi, making the meat for the egusi soup. So once you're done with that, stir everything together, then cover the pot. Don't add water at this stage, simply because you want the beef to release its own natural juices. This is secret number one. So allowing the meat release its own juices before adding water is going to enable it release that authentic natural flavor that beef has, or any meat you're using. You can also use goat's meat, chicken, or basically any meat you want to. The second secret is in the pepper mix you intend to use, and the first thing I want you to know is that yellow pepper has this really lovely and unique flavor it adds to egusi soup. So I recommend you use this yellow pepper, but if you don't have it, feel free to use the red regular Assorted. So the second pepper you have to use is either tatashe, that's red bell pepper, or shombo. This also has a mild flavor that is also lovely for your soups. So you can add a little bit of tomatoes, but I don't really like adding tomatoes to egusi, simply because it adds too much fluid to the soup. So take out the seeds and set that aside. You can also repeat this for the shombo, that's the cayenne pepper. So I use koshbone, cayenne pepper, and red bell pepper, that is atarodo, tatashe, and shombo. That's the mixture I usually go with whenever I'm making egusi soup. So take the seeds out of them, and then go ahead and blend or chop them into smaller pieces. Now let's go ahead and work with the egusi itself. So this is just egusi that I already grinded, and I'm just going to mix it together with some chopped onions or blended onions, whichever one you have, and of course some meat stock. I prefer using meat stock than ordinary water because this soup is all about flavor, so I don't want to introduce so much water or anything that is going to dilute the flavor from this soup. So this is another thing to note. So once you've added the onions and the meat stock, go ahead and mix this thoroughly until it becomes smooth and looks good, of course. Once you're done with the egusi, go ahead and set that aside, and let's move to secret number 3, which is just a way of flavoring your egusi soup. It's very important that you add a native source of flavor to this soup, and you can use either iru, what is also known as dadawa, or locust beans, and this also is called okpei. It's a native soup seasoning that is perfect for your soup. Don't miss it because it's going to add that native flavor. So this is what it looks like when you've thoroughly grinded it. So for vegetable, I'm using ugu vegetable and of course some bitter leaf for that slight bitter taste. You can actually add other kinds of vegetable or keep it it's based on choice, so you can add any vegetable of your choice, but I like using ugu and bitter leaf because it's like the perfect combo for me. And you can also use uziza, spinach, or any vegetable of your choice. So I just took out the ugu leaves from the bunch, and I'm just adding a little bit of hot water. This helps get them clean very fast, and it also leaves a really lovely vibrant color in the vegetable. So just add some hot water and allow for about a minute or two. Take them out of the hot water, then you can discard the water. You can see the sand and dirt coming from the vegetable, so you just have to discard that. Then add fresh water and add the vegetable. Repeat this for about 3 times and your vegetable is clean. So it's always better to wash the vegetable before slicing so that you don't lose some of the important nutrients that you need intact in the vegetable. So please wash before slicing, so of course you don't lose any nutrients. So that's what I'm doing now, and once I'm done with that, I'm just going to go ahead and do the slicing. So let me quickly give a brief list of other vegetables that you can use aside the ones I'm using, which are ugu and bitter leaf. Ugu is also called pumpkin, so that's it. So now you can use uziza. Uziza is very good in egusi soup. You can also use utazi. I've heard people use a little bit of utazi in their egusi soup. You can use spinach as well. Spinach is perfect for egusi soup. And I've also heard people use water leaf for egusi soup. So if there are any other vegetables that people use for their egusi soup, please feel free to share with us. I would really love to know. So this is my favorite way of cutting my vegetable after washing and cutting. It's perfect because you don't lose nutrients. Also, you can cut the vegetable into your desired size. So let's move on with the fish. I'm using smoked fish in this recipe, so all I'm doing now is to debone and clean the fish thoroughly. For soups and even other kinds of dishes, it's a total turn off to see bone or true bone when you're eating. It's not cool at all, so I always make sure to carefully debone whatever kind of fish I'm using, and that's just what I'm doing here. You know, these smoked fish, they are exposed to all sorts of conditions in the markets, flies, people touching them and all of that. So it's also very important that you wash them thoroughly. And to wash them, I'm just adding some warm water. You can also use hot water and some salt. Just allow that to soak for some minutes and rinse them repeatedly for about 3 times and take them out of the water, and your fish is clean. This is secret number 4. Make sure you use very fresh palm oil. Egusi soup is a palm oil based soup, and the kind of palm oil you use will go a long way. So take note of that. And I've just added my onions. I allowed it to fry for about a minute. Then I went in with my locust beans, my thoroughly washed locust beans. I'm just going to allow that infuse properly into the palm oil before going in with the egusi that we mixed earlier. Depending on the kind of egusi soup you like, this is the stage where I determine if I'm going to leave my egusi to be in lumps or to be totally smooth. So if you want them in lumps, don't over stir them, don't overwork the egusi itself. But if you want it to be totally smooth, you have to keep stirring this until the egusi dissolves totally into the palm oil. So for today, I'm leaving my egusi to be totally smooth in the soup. So I'm just going to stir that continuously until it's totally smooth. Normally, egusi burns very fast, so make sure you stir this continuously, and please don't do this on high heat. So I'm just adding the pepper mix that we talked about earlier, and I'm just going to stir everything together. So if you're one of those that enjoy using tomatoes in your egusi, so this is the stage you add your tomatoes as well. But like I said earlier, I'm not going to be using tomatoes at all because I don't want any external liquid. So now I'm going in with seasoning and some salt. Stir everything together and add in the meat that we boiled earlier. And at this stage, I'm also going to be adding my stockfish. Remember, the stockfish has already been pre-soaked in hot water, so this stage is okay to add it. But if yours hasn't been soaked at all, make sure you add it when cooking the meat in the initial stage. So stir everything together and make sure that all the ingredients have found their place in the soup. And after that, I'm just going to add about 1 tablespoon of crayfish powder. I'm going to put more details in the caption. Stir everything again. I like to add crayfish at this stage because crayfish burns easily. So adding it before adding any source of fluid is going to make it and make the soup start burning early enough, and we don't want that. Another very important thing to notice: egusi soup doesn't actually need so much external water, so much fluid. So ordinarily, the stock from the meat that you boiled earlier is enough for the egusi soup. But if you must add any external water, 1 cup or half a cup is okay, because the aim is to trap in as much flavor as possible. So I just added my smoked fish, allowed it for 1 minute. Now I'm going in with the vegetable that we talked about earlier, that we prepared earlier. It's always advised that you add vegetables towards the end of the cooking because vegetables are tender, so you don't have to add them in the early stages. But if you're using very tough bitter leaf, you can add it earlier in the early stages of the cooking because of how tough it is. But generally, vegetables are to be added towards the end of the cooking. Naturally, as the vegetables boil, they are going to release their own natural fluid. So you don't have to add extra water, but if you like yours a little more watery, you can add water. So I'm just going to cover this and allow on low heat for another 3 minutes. And your soup is ready. This is how I love making my egusi soup, and it always turns out nice. It's always crowd pleasing, and the lovely thing is that you can have this egusi soup with absolutely any swallow of your choice. I used pounded yam today. You can use fufu, you can use semo, anything you like. And hey, I've heard some people use egusi soup to have, the regular white rice and plantain. What do you guys think? Do you do this? How is it like? Bye, and thank you for watching my video.